So quickly, whilst we wait for the rest, let us refresh our minds on what we did on Sunday. What did we do on Sunday? Let's refresh our minds on what we did. This one, they have given you the slides, so you should be able to tell me something. What did we do? Anything that you remember that we did last week? Anybody who remembers what we did last week? Anything that you remember? Are we here? Anything that we remember last week during our lesson? Anybody to open the floor for us?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay. Don't know what you did.
Hello? Yes, I
Hello,
can
please,
now
can you
hear
hear
you,
me?
so continue.
Oh, okay. So as I said, I couldn't join last week, so I went to the slides
Okay, so what did
that
you
was
get
sent to us.
after reading?
That's
What did you get? After going through the slides, what did you get from it? Any other person to tell us what we did? Gifty, you joined, right?
Yes, madam.
So tell us something.
Last week we talked about the methods and techniques of teaching,
then
and we looked at methods. And we look at
Gifty, go ahead.
several methods: the lecture method, discussion method, using resource personnel, field trip. We also talk about simulation, and then drama methods. These are a few things that we discussed last week.
Okay. Seth, do you want to say something? Seth. Okay. All right. So Gifty not spoke. So Gifty Anima, can you also share with us what you learned? Rosemary, tell us something.
Sorry, madam, I think my network went off.
Okay, so then share with us what you got from the material.
Okay, so actually I was saying I looked at the effective teaching and the quality teaching. Then I came across the quality teaching models, where we have three models. That's the intellectual quality learning environment, and the significance. Then also we have components of the with each one we have components for it, and for the intellectual, I think we have the deep knowledge, deep understanding, problematic knowledge, higher order thinking, and some other two.
What is the other two?
Is I matter language and substantive communication. Yes, I think.
All right. Okay. So Rosemary, tell us your own. What about Charity? Charity, tell us what you heard. It looks like they are not there. Oh, okay. All right. So that is fine. We looked at the methods and then we started um, the guideposts to instruction. So I think we finished with the dressing. And then we also looked at the tips for appearance in the classroom. We also did getting ready for instructional takeoff, right? Those who joined, did we do that? Or you forgot it?
Oh, class, respond and let's go. Oh,
It looks like they have joined, but they are not there. That is what I see.
Mother, we are here, but the network is not helping. That's why we are not talking.
Oh, okay. 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 All right. Okay. So we did not finish the guidepost to instruction. So the next thing that we'll do is getting the class ready for instruction, for instructional takeoff. So as I said, I think we did this one. So you do not have to wait for the learners in the classroom to come and call you before you come
Ma'am,
and
we
teach.
did this one. We did this one.
We did this one, okay. What about the positioning of the teacher?
No, we didn't do
Okay.
that.
Okay, quickly, let's look at the positioning of the teacher. So in the classroom, the teacher, yes, so let me ask you, how do you think the teacher should be in the classroom? Now you are the class teacher. You are the one going to teach. So where should your position be? Where should you be to teach the learners? Where are you supposed to be, or where should you be in the classroom?
okay, madam.
Mother,
Yes,
okay.
Wait, a teacher, if you are in the class, ask, is it when you are delivering the lesson or what, please?
yes, yes. When you are
Okay, so
delivering the lesson,
most of the times you have to be in the middle of the class
okay,
so that everybody can look at you or observe what you are doing, and also maybe when it's you've given a work for them to do, you have to go around to inspect the works they are doing and assist the special ones.
okay. That is fine. Yes, I heard one person who wanted to bring
Mother,
us
it's the
something.
same. I wanted to say the same thing. You have to stand in front of where the chalkboard is, so that
Okay.
everybody will look at you. Then sometimes when you are explaining you need to go round
Okay.
uh, through the lanes so
Okay.
that those who are not paying attention will take you serious. Then
Mm,
after giving them work to, you have to go around and see those who are doing the right thing. If the person is not doing the right thing, then you try to correct before they bring their work to you.
okay. That is fine. So as we have said it rightly, you need to most of the time be in the middle so that they can all see you. They shouldn't be moving their neck here and there. And as you are teaching, um, at some point in time, you need to be moving around. But the movement shouldn't be like you are preaching or you are praying. No, you should be slow from this place to this side. And then as you are talking to, make sure you look at their faces. Your attention shouldn't be at one side. Make sure the whole class is for you. So make sure everybody enjoys what you are doing. And then we have managing the board. How do we manage the board? How do we manage the board?
Uh,
Yes.
uh, you you divide the board into three parts, okay?
Okay.
And you start
If
from the
it is
middle.
big, if it is big, right?
Yeah, if it's big. Why the one that I use is big, so I normally divide into three parts.
Okay.
Then I'll start from the middle.
Mhm.
Then when I finish writing the middle, I'll go to the one at my right side. I'll continue it from there before I come to the left side. That's how I do it. If there's any correction, I'm ready to.
Okay. Any other person to also show us how to manage the board? So managing the board. Any other
Hello.
person? Yes.
Hello. Okay. So normally for us, our board is a kind of number. So what I normally do is I divide it into three. So I'll
Okay.
start from the middle where everybody can see. Then I'll move to the right side before I come to the left to balance the view of all the students.
Okay. All right. That is fine. And then don't forget you need to write your date after you have divided the board. You write the subject that you are going to treat. If it is mathematics, you write it. If it is accounting, you write. Don't forget your date. Your date should come. And then when you have introduced your lesson, the topic that you are going to treat also comes. And then if you have divided it into three, it means you are going to start from the middle and then you move to your right and then to your left. But let's say if you are writing notes, where do you start from? If it is not work that you are going to calculate, you have divided your board into three and you are going to give them notes. Where do you start?
No, the same thing from middle to right and left.
Okay. And then when you are also writing and then you need to do some rough work, where do you do it?
And then the extreme end of the board.
Good. So you see, you have divided it into three. So you start from the middle. It means you are going to use the two for, let's say, the core point, and then the one on your left can be for the rough work that you'll be doing. Is that not it?
Yes, madam.
So that is how
Yes,
you manage.
madam.
That is how you manage your board. And then again, in the classroom, you see that normally students can misbehave in the class. So how do we deal with misbehavior in the classroom? when students misbehave, how do we deal with them? You are teaching and then somebody is disturbing. What do you do?
You ask them question. You use questioning.
You use questioning.
Yes,
Okay.
madam. When you give you because he knows that if he doesn't pay attention, you will give him or her a question. He will try to confirm. The question is one of the that you
Okay.
can use.
That is one. Any other way to deal with misbehavior?
Okay, madam.
Yes.
Sometimes too, if the student is misbehaving, like maybe talking,
Yes.
you can change the sitting position.
Okay.
That's if the person is sitting at the far back, you can bring the person forward so that you monitor the person. Or maybe because the person is sitting by a friend, that's why he or she is misbehaving. So when you change the sitting position, that one too can help. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Madam,
Any other?
can you add pull along? Let's say whenever you call the person as you are teaching, the person will be moving with you. Can you use that one too?
You are teaching and the person will be moving with you.
As you are teaching, you are talking, you are going around the class.
Uh-huh.
Since the person is disturbing, you hold their hand, move with me.
Oh, okay.
Normally, I used to do that.
But
I don't know what
does it
person
help? Does it help?
Yes.
Is it not going to make the person disturb more?
No.
If it actually works, then it is fine. You see, what we don't want is we want everybody to enjoy in your class or everybody to take part in the lesson. So we discourage teachers sending students out of the class. So somebody misbehaves and then the teacher, hey, walk out of my class. No, we don't want that. So if there is a punishment that will not let the students lose what you are teaching, the content, then we are fine. And sometimes some teachers even do. They because they have their chairs in front, they ask the student to come and stand close to them. So if moving with the students will not, he or she is not going to disturb the others, make some noises, and then people will be laughing and the rest, then that is fine. Yeah.
But madam, I want to ask Madam this today's question. So the trainer or her or the student, because if the student is walking behind you or beside you, the attention will be on the student more than the teacher or the teacher giving the instruction.
I didn't
Please, your
get it.
question, I didn't hear.
Hello?
Please, your network, I didn't hear.
Oh, okay.
Please.
So I was saying that. Hello, please can you hear me?
Yes, we are listening.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So if in this case, the rest of the students concentrate on the teacher or students following the teacher or beside the teacher,
For the
because
student, that is
as you called or so maybe their attention will be on the student rather than the teacher.
sometimes too, because the student is moving behind you, you will not see what he or she is doing. Then people will be laughing. I don't know.
The way what you're saying is true, but it doesn't happen like that. So,
Okay.
my case, what I normally do, they feel shy when you call them to
Oh,
move
okay.
along with you. So you see that the person will be tense. The person will be, so you do it for some minutes, then you allow the person to sit
Go and
down.
sit down. Oh, okay.
So it's like When would they close that?
Madam, okay, this thing, I think that sometimes it varies from individual students to the other. I have those students in Form 1 who is extremely troublesome. Like, as you are saying, yes, extremely troublesome. On the Timmy transport, some babu teacher near Form 1
Oh,
students. You are suspending the bay, you are suspending no, or by a client suspended no less than 5 on suspension.
wow.
You get it? Such student that I'm talking about, when you call him to come and follow you in the class, then you have to remind yourself that the teaching and learning wouldn't go on. Because
Yeah.
if as he follows you, not odi rough for wachi,
Uh-huh. So
not
people
on
be
knocky way
laughing.
or wachi.
Yeah.
And but we have exception amongst the rest. Some too, when you call them to follow you, it's like it changed them because they feel shy that their colleagues are sitting and he or she is
Yeah.
following the teacher. So I think what my dear gift is, it varies from one student to other. Some are very stubborn. Some too are shy and can't bear that. And then when you do that, they wouldn't misbehave again in class. But this boy that I'm talking of, Charlie, how but you will turn and even do something otherwise. So I
Yes.
think it
Yes.
varies. Yeah, it varies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So probably you know the student, the kind of student, and then the kind of punishment maybe you would give to him or her. As I'm saying, because if he
Mm.
is following or he is following you, you will not see what he is doing behind you. So by the time you realize, people will be laughing at what is it? You tell and then he's the one. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Madam,
But all the same, as we are saying, we don't want them to miss the class. So don't sack them from the class. Even if it is after the class, maybe you want a person to read or scrap or something, let it be after the class, maybe break time. And then when you are punishing to let the person know that it is because of ABC that I am punishing you. Let the person know that this is the reason why I am giving you this punishment. Okay. Yeah, somebody call.
yes. Sometimes myself too, this is what I do. Before the class or before I start my lesson, if they are talking, I tell them to stop talking, else I will do this or do that. And so if I'm teaching and I realize that somebody is misbehaving, I just turn and then start looking at the person. I'll look at you straight, standing there. Immediately, the person sees that I'm looking at him or her. He or she comes to his or her senses and knows that something will follow if they don't behave. And so you see that they'll be calm and then all of a sudden they will all keep quiet. So for my class, that is what I usually do. Because if I turn and start looking at you and you continue doing what you are doing, then the next thing is either you go out and pick rabbits all over the compound. That is during break time, whilst everybody has gone to break. Or you go and scrub the washroom. Immediately I turn and start looking at them. Then they stop whatever they are doing and concentrate on what I'm teaching. So that is what sometimes I do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any other? Any other experience? Okay. All right. So that is it. There are so many ways of dealing with students' misbehavior. As I said, we can do all, but what we don't want is to sack the person from the class. Okay. Now the teacher is done. He or she has taught, has taken everything into consideration. It is time for him or her to leave. What are some of the things that the teacher needs to do? exiting the class. You are done teaching. So as we
You
are
are done
doing,
with teaching.
yes, I am
Madam,
done
for
teaching. So
me,
what
hello,
should I
please.
let learners know before I walk, or after I am done, I don't say anything and then I walk away. What are some of the things that the teacher has to do?
Okay, madam, for me, hello, madam.
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, so normally I give them the next topic for them to go and research on before they come to the next class. Uh, Yes, that's what I normally do before I go.
Okay.
Then, you see, from me, next person will come, so I'll let them clean the board also for
Okay.
the next teacher to come and continue.
Okay. Yeah, any other person? Any other?
Seth, you said what? I didn't hear. My network.
Okay, I said I normally I let them or give them the next topic to be treated for them to go and research on. Then I ensure that the board is clean before I walk out of the class.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to add some to it? Gifting.
No, madam. I wanted to hear what he has to say.
Okay, so when you are done, so like I am teaching, if you are done, you need to close the lesson. So we have something called closure. You need to alert them that you are done. So you can do this by you yourself, the teacher, summarizing the lesson, or you can call a student to summarize the lesson, or you can use question and answer to close the lesson to let them know that you are done. Then, when you are done and you have done this, after you have closed the lesson, you need to evaluate the lesson because remember, beginning, you set your objectives that by the end of the lesson, you were going to do ABC. You want students to be able to list this, you want them to state this, you want them to explain this. How will you know that they can explain? How will you know that they can list? So you need to do evaluation. So through the evaluation, what you are supposed to do is either you give them written exercise, then you mark to see what each person can do, or you can give homework or assignments, or you can give group work. Okay, anything that you do so that you know that the learners actually would understand, then you can mark as well. Uh, then when you are done with all these evaluation and then the closure, the next thing that you're supposed to do is pre-lesson preparation. Tell them what you want them to learn for the next lesson or the next period. You give them reading assignments or you tell them the topic that they will be doing during your next lesson. Then after everything, you make sure that the board is clean. You don't leave the board like that. If possible, you clean the board yourself. You don't give it to anyone to clean. You can clean it yourself. But if you have a board monitor or something, make sure the board is clean before you exit the classroom. Unless, of course, it is note that they are copying and you feel that they are not done. So they have to copy it. But if you are done, the writings on the board has nothing to do with um, has nothing to do there. Just rub it and then make sure the board is clean for the next lesson. Any question or contribution?
So, madam,
Yes.
in a situation where maybe during your delivery, they rang the bell for change lesson, but you have not finished, and another teacher too is coming. Do you have to clean the board while the children are still copying or what?
Hmm. What do you think, class?
Okay, so Madam Gift, I think that's why they allocated time for every period or lesson. So I think you have to work within your time. So if you see maybe the time will be beyond what you are supposed to do, then you should forget about giving them the notes. Then you give them next time, or when they have free period, you can go and give them the notes. If not, then it will be eaten into somebody's time every now and then.
Okay, so you see, that is it. Everybody has his or her period. So if you decide to leave it on the board, the one who is coming, it means you don't want that person to teach. So the person should give you his or her period. So you either make time, maybe break time or any time that you think will be suitable, you give to them, or you wait the next period, you give the notes to them. Unless, of course, you have arranged with the other teacher to use to use his or her period at this moment, and then maybe he or she will also use the next one that you have. Other than that, you need to rub it. Once it is time for the next lesson, you need to make way for that one.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, any other? So that we move on to the next unit. We'll look at unit 8, and then I think they are 10 in all. So we'll look at unit 8, and then we'll go back and then do a recap of everything that we have done. I don't want us to, so that the 9 and 10 we can learn on our own. The 9 is the classroom assessment, and then the 10 is the, let me check. Yeah. The 10 is the practical assessment orientation in accounting. So how to allocate marks and the rest. I'll give you the slides, so it wouldn't be a problem for you. Because once you are teachers already, you know how to do the rubrics. So it is not anything that is difficult. Okay.
Hello, Madam, please, a general question.
Yeah.
Okay, so Madam, suppose you've taught and the term is going to an end, by all means they write exams. Is it advisable to alert students the areas that will be coming in the exams, or you should avoid telling them? Which one is best for a teacher to do?
Oh, so if you have, let's say like this one, 10 units, and you want the learners to, you have a particular place for them to learn. Probably you know that it is very bulky, and you are not going to set questions on all of them. It is not bad as long as you are not giving them the questions that will go and do ABC. You tell them, oh, you can read maybe unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. That is where we are going to do the quiz. And then 4, 5, up to 10 is where we are going to do the exam. I don't think it is bad. So that at least they don't learn something overboard. But some,
Madam, okay,
yes.
okay, Madam, please complete.
Yeah. So, and some people also feel like they don't have to do that. So you have to learn everything, and then when you can just come and then write what you have learned. And we have some who wish they tell you or guide you so that you don't learn things outside what they are bringing. Other than some even give you questions, sample questions to go and solve. I'm giving you about 20 questions, solve one of them will come. Some do that. There are so many ways that people do with their students. That is how some feel they can help their learners to learn more, motivate their learners to learn more.
Okay, so madam, I think the do all in this one, I think we are not applying what actually we are learning, because as we said, the unit maybe is 10 units. Then
Yeah.
the teacher will be like, go and learn all.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think it will be effective and efficient, since we learned that even you after teaching, you have to indicate or tell your learners that go and learn this for the next class.
Yeah.
And equally, I think when it's time for exams, you have to tell them that, okay, this question is not necessarily giving them the
The
same question,
questions.
but maybe there's a sample question. Similar question will come, so we have to try and solve. We have to try and read. I think that one will be best, since the education system is changing and they want to change it. But I think we are still going by the old way, that learn or learn or. Still, people are using it. Even with this course we are doing, some are doing that, and I don't think it's good.
Yeah. So the ideally, learners are supposed to get past questions. Unfortunately, I think this course we don't have a past question. Learners are ideally they are supposed to get past questions, as you are saying. So, this is how we normally set our questions. We do objects, we do essay type of questions. So this is how we do it, so that learners will have an idea of how the questions are being set. But unfortunately, I don't think we have um, past questions for this one. I don't think so. All right, so let's finish what we have for today. Then we can go back and then be asking ourselves questions. Okay.
Okay, madam, thank you.
So we'll be looking at questioning and responding. Questioning and responding. As we have seen in every lecture or in every class, every lesson, there is question there. No matter what method a teacher is using, question will come in. So as for questioning, it plays a very critical role in every lesson. So in questioning, we question or we ask questions for a number of reasons. We ask questions for a number of reasons. As I'm saying, in every lecture, you need to question. And the reason why you are questioning is there. So the purposes of questioning is one. One is it is supposed to stimulate thinking. The purposes of questioning, one is supposed to stimulate thinking. You have the people are there, the learners are there, and you want them to think about something, so you question. Two, you question to involve learners in your lesson. If you see that they are very quiet, they are not participating, you question, then they will get involved. As you are teaching, you don't know whether they understand or not. The next thing that you do again is to ask them questions to find out whether they understand. So we question to check understanding. And then we question to either review or to drill students. Like when we were young, they normally do mental. When a teacher wants to beat you free of charge, he comes and then he says, today we are going to do mental. Then you see that he or she will be beating you, asking you questions, he'll be drilling you in the class. He will do dictation, and then you come and see people running away. So all these are the purposes of questioning. One, we use questioning to stimulate thinking. We use it to involve learners. We use it to check understanding, and then we use it to review and then to drill learners. Now there are categories of questioning. So categories, questions can be categorized by instructional purpose, can be categorized by instructional purpose. So with the instructional purpose, that is when lesson is ongoing, and then the teacher is using question and answer in there. So that is the first category that we are going to look at, is when there is an instruction going on and questions are being asked there. So that's why for instructional purpose, the person is teaching. The person needs to use question and answer to get you know whether you understand, to know whether you are paying attention, to drill you, to check your thinking ability, or to stimulate your thinking, to get you involved. So when you are teaching, one category of questioning is the instructional purpose. We are saying that motivate, it has to motivate, focus, and then what? Refocus. Questions which are designed to focus students' attention on the task at hand. And then they appear most frequently at the start of the lesson, at transition points, and whenever the students need to be brought back on task. So during the instructional purpose, they are saying that one, we used the question to help them pay attention. At the start of the lesson, you ask questions to bring them on board. And then when in the middle of the lesson to you use questions, and when learners are not paying attention, you use questions to bring them on task. Again, we use it to retrieve information. We use it to bring out information from the learners. So questions which require students to recall necessary information from memory or find it in the text. So sometimes they are there and then you want them to recall, to bring out information. You use question. Then to clarify, questions which ask students to make his or her own made idea more clearer, perhaps by providing an example to illustrate. And then we use it to extend. So questions which ask the student to think beyond the initial response or to consider previously unthought of aspects of a situation. So some students are there and they have answered, but there are some other facts that they are supposed to bring. So you use questions to them for them to actually bring out those unthought answers that they have in them. You ask them questions and then they are able to bring those answers. And then we use questions also during instructional period to generalize. So questions which ask students to make acceptable generalization from specific experiences or example, and to find a common principle or theme. So we use questions to generalize specific experiences. And then we use questions to summarize, as I said. Summarize this lesson for us. Summarize this. So questions are used to summarize. The questions which ask students to draw ideas or lesson content together into a neat package, getting the key points rather than reiterating everything that has preceded. And then also we have diagnostic questions used by the teacher to help find out what students know or have learned, or where a learning block has occurred. Then we have management. We use questions to manage the class. So questions which are designed, orders or direction, designed to get students to do something. Example, has everyone finished the exercise yet? Hurry up. So all these are management wants to know whether you are finished. If you are not done, you need to hurry so that we can continue. Then we have rhetorical questions, questions that do not need answers. So questions that are statements clocked in question form and do not require an answer. They appear most frequently in lectures and sermons. So a teacher is teaching and then a question is being asked. So ask yourself if you can prepare a balance sheet, and with this, the teacher is not requiring any answer from the learner. He's just asking. When you ask yourself if you can do it, you answer it and take it. If you cannot do it, you also answer it and take it. So that is the rhetorical question that we don't need specific answers. And then among the categories, we have the mental processes use or mental process use. Mental process use. So we ask questions because, one, of instructional purpose. So when we are teaching, we use questions to guide us to do our things. And then mental process use. We use questions for the mental faculty, mental ability. And sometimes these are the recall, critical thinking, creative thinking, and then affective. And so we have under the mental process, we have the recall. So comprehension, questions which require recall of information or simple understanding of terms, data, concepts, procedures. Example of them is, what is the minimum membership in a partnership firm? So you see, this one is a recall question. When we ask you partnership, how many people are required to do a partnership? You say, oh, 2 or more. And this is something that you don't need to explain. It is a fact. And then we have critical thinking questions. And these are questions which ask students to think about information so as to provide or so as to arrive at a predictable answer. An example is, how would you measure the amount of profit made with incomplete information? So this one, they have given you incomplete information and you are to calculate for the profit. How will you do it? This one requires thinking. And then we have creative thinking. Creative thinking. And these are questions which ask students to do some original thinking, use imagination, suggest unusual uses of the commonplace, develop hypotheses, and find new patterns of organization, write a poem, or so on and so forth. So this is creative. We are just being creative. I remember just last week, some learners, they were having their open day. So we went to the school and we saw that one child, the teacher asked one child to do something on the board to welcome parents to their class. So the child wrote "You are welcome" and then drew learners and their parents sitting down looking into a book. So this is creative. The teacher just said, parents will be coming to the school, so do something that can represent or show that parents are welcome for this exercise. And this is what the child did. So creative thinking, we want you to do something that is original from you. Okay, use your own imagination. Something that is unusual at all places. So that is the creative. You use your creative way of doing the thing. So sometimes you have taught learners how to do something for a very long time, they can't do it. So you sit down and then you think of something. Let me use this one. I think when I use this, they will understand. That is the creative thinking. And then we have affective. So questions which ask the student to identify or express an emotional reaction or personal feeling. So with affective, this one has to do with emotions. So an example is a question is being asked. So what reaction did you have to the profit statement? So let's say the profit statement was low. So what or what was your reaction when you saw that the profit was slow? So you see that you'll be talking from your own feelings, how you feel, and you're going to respond to the issue of how you feel. Then another category is impersonal to personal. Impersonal to personal. Impersonal to personal. That's another category of questioning. Why we question, or an example, or a category of questioning. So with the impersonal to personal, we have factual questions. Facts. If you say, oh, this is a fact, when some people are arguing this, oh, this is a fact. So factual questioning, they are most, we say that with this one, they are most impersonal. It is not coming from you. It is a fact. So it is not me who is saying it. So let's see how it goes. So something separate from the respondent that is simply remembered or known. So an example is, what is accounting? Accounting is a blah, 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 blah. This is something that is not coming from the one who is giving the answer. It is a fact. Everybody knows that this is it. This is how it behaves, or this is how it is. And then we have the conceptual. Conceptual, we are saying that this one too is generally impersonal. The first one, the factual, is mostly impersonal. And then the conceptual concept is generally impersonal. Why? Because it requires the respondent to think about an idea or a concept in a non-personal way. Example, why do many sole proprietors fail to keep the relevant accounting records of their undertaking? So a question like this, it is not you. He or she is asking why sole proprietors do this, or they fail to do that. Then we have contextual, context. This one, you are taking it out of the context too, and it is somehow personal. It is somehow personal, and it requires the respondent to put himself or herself in the picture. Example, under what circumstances would you have advised management to use the straight line method of depreciating non-current assets? So this one is somewhat personal, because how you are going to do it, okay, or how you are going to explain it. Then we have affective. This one is mostly personal. What feelings does the state of corruption in Ghana elicit in you? So how do you feel? Like the state of galamsey in Ghana, how do you feel? What is it? What feelings can we get from you? So here you start saying, as for me, galamsey is spoiling our water now. Most people can't get water because our water bodies are bad. And this is most personal, because you will be talking with passion. And then we have questions that focus on specific purposes. So we are done with the categories. Then under the categories, we have the instructional purpose, we have the mental processes, and then we have the impersonal to personal. Impersonal to personal. Now we have questions that focus on specific purposes. There are questions that will always focus on specific purposes. And one, we are saying that the teacher must be skillful in selecting appropriate questions in terms of purpose, or the results are likely to be disappointing. Okay. they are likely to be disappointing. Example is the teacher sometimes report their inability to involve children in their discussion, and an examination of the kind of questions they ask often provide clues to why they are having this problem. So if the questions asked requires a yes or no answer or call for the recall of a specific answer, there is little to discuss. So discussion questions must allow for some divergence of views and must open possibilities for creative interaction. And that is it. So questions that focus on specific purpose, um, we have why we ask questions during certain times. And one of them is procedural question. So under this, we have procedural question. Under the procedural question, the teacher may ask questions that have to do with classroom procedure. So, and the clarification of direction, transitional inquiry, or rhetorical queries. And some of these questions are necessary parts of teaching, of course, but often they amount to little more time while the teacher is gathering his or her thoughts. So the procedural questions is normally it happens in the as the teacher is teaching, as the classroom procedure. Example is if the teacher is teaching and then the teacher may ask, does anyone have a question like I have been doing? This is a procedural question. The teacher is teaching and then the teacher wants to know where the learners are. Have they gotten what I am teaching? Are they lost? What is it? So these are the procedural questions or transitional inquiry or clarification of direction. When somebody does not understand, so the person asks, so are you ready for the next point? I asked you. So we are moving on to the next unit. Should we go? Oh, please, I have a question. Then you ask. Yes, no, I don't understand. What is it? Okay, it is this place, blah, blah, blah. The teacher explains. So these are procedural questions. An example too is how many of you will be having lunch here today? The teacher maybe wants to come during a break time to give you an assignment or something. So he wants to know. So if you have your lunch here, you know what to do. If not, you know what to do. So these are procedural questions. And then we have questions that check literal comprehension. Questions that check whether you understand literal comprehension. So in the content fields such as social studies, science, and so on, it is necessary for the teacher to know whether or not the children are extracting the essential information presented in the material they are required to read. So you see, questions used to check such literal comprehension should encourage good study habits. An example is, if too many trivial fact questions are included, the child may assume that those facts are all that is important in the material. Perhaps it is the best to include variety of questions such as calling the identification of important facts and ideas. Others requiring questions, some calling for, yes, greater breadth of understanding. So questions that call for literal comprehension. An example of them is what terms are the most important for understanding this question? What costs are included in the price you pay for shoes? You don't ask the questions in such a way that the learners might think that others are not important. So they have to concentrate on this. Oh, examination is coming. So what the teacher is asking me now is what is coming. But this one, you are using it to check their literal comprehension, whether they understand or not. Okay. Then we have reflective or thought questions. Reflective or thought questions. We have the reflective questions are those that are open-ended and that requires higher level thought process. They are open-ended and require higher level questions. An example is what business and what kind of work would be greater demand if everyone work only 4 days in a week? So he says they want you to think or reflect. So if we are not going to now, there's too much holidays. So what will we do? The holidays are too much. It is going to affect our work. It is going to do this. That's when you are reflecting, you are thinking and then reflecting on what is going to happen. So that is how we expect the learners to do. We give them reflective or thought questions, and then they think about what is going to happen, or they think about the next thing, not something that they can actually recall, but they need to do thinking, rethinking, and then reflect on issues. And then we have students' questions. Students' questions. Now, the kind of questions students ask tell the teacher a great deal about the effectiveness of classroom management procedures and about the conduct of instruction. So, for example, a preponderance of questions that calls for assurance and teacher approval. Example, am I doing this right? So the teacher is teaching you, the teacher will be, am I doing it right? Am I making sense? So all these, the responses that the learners will bring will let the teacher know where to guide the learners or where the learners have gotten to as he or she is teaching. Any question or contribution up to this point on the categories of questions? Any question? Do we have any question? Or we are okay?
Anna, please, we are okay.
All right. So quickly we are moving on to questioning techniques. Questioning techniques. How do we question? We have already said that in every lesson we do question. So how do we question? Now, guidelines to effective questioning. The first thing that you need to do is you need to think it through. You that is going to ask the question, you need to think about the question that you are going to ask. You think it through. Give yourself time to think about the question you want to ask. You phrase it to yourself inside your head, and then the class will wait while you think. As part of your lesson preparation, you write out a few key questions designed to students' understanding or to provide a discussion. And then use thinking questions as well as recall questions. How, why questions usually require some degree of thought. And then who, what, where questions usually also elicit remembered information. And then again, you prepare a few questions with specific students in mind. We are not saying that you are going to ask those student questions. No. You put them in mind in the sense that not all the questions should be the same. you need to sometimes ask recall questions, sometimes you need to ask um, critical thinking questions and so on and so forth. So you have some students in class, so you just keep them in your mind that we have such students in class. We have those who are very good. So these type of questions should come. We have weaker ones also. So these type of questions should also come. So that at least you know that you have a blend of questions in there. So that is why I'm saying that you bring out the questions with some students, few students in mind, so that it can guide you on how to bring out your questions. Two, you need to direct the question to the entire group. Mm. Then you use your eyes to indicate that the question is for general consumption. So you don't call out somebody's name before you ask the question. No. The first thing that you do is you ask the question and then you call out a student's name, or you call out the question before you call out the student name. You start using your eyes to go around to show them that the question is a general question for everybody, not for a specific student. Mhm. Then you need to avoid harpooning. You identify someone who is to answer before you question you, as I said. Then again, you can avoid, can anyone tell me? Who can tell me those questions? When you go for teaching practice and you'll be asking, who can tell me this? Who can somebody tell me? No, we don't ask those questions, so kindly avoid them. Does anyone know? It means that you are trying to tell us that we have some students in the class that they shouldn't know. Because that is why you're asking, who can tell me? But we are encouraging that everybody should know. So you ask the question, anybody at all should answer. Then in questioning, you need to keep it simple. Keep the question simple. Don't ask questions which goes on and on that will confuse, and then we even let the students lose their concentration. Just keep it simple. Avoid irrelevant or confusing statement or information. Then limit the question to one main thought or idea. Avoid questions which require the student to agree to an stated assumptions before answering. And then avoid also thought blocking phrases such as, what about the fact that? So the student has answered, and then what about the fact that you know? Avoid such phrases. And then use language at the level of the class. You should know the level of the class that you are teaching. So use language that will be appropriate for them. Again, the fourth point is, after keeping the question simple, you need to pause. You have asked a question. There is no need to rush. So you pause and wait for a response from the learners. So you wait for a while, about 5 seconds, to get a response. And then you call students by name. You call students by name to answer. That is why we encourage you to know your learners in a classroom. Even if you are going to do off-campus teaching practice, make sure you know the learners, their names. Then again, you need to listen to the student's response. You have called the student by name. The student is coming to talk. You need to listen. You keep quiet and then listen to the learner. Somebody answers a question and then that is all, you don't say anything. No, you need to acknowledge the response. And then you have to you check the response. If it is okay for the answer for the question, you reward the person. And then you also respond in some way. So if the response seems weird, if what the learner is bringing it seems weird, do a perception check to find out whether what you heard was okay. So you can tell the learner, okay, come again. If that is the same thing that you are hearing, it means it is wrong. So what you can do is you can ask another person to answer. Now there are some common pitfalls. There are some common pitfalls. We have the yes or no questions. And an example is when you ask, do you understand? How does in such words? The moment you ask, do you understand? They will say yes or no. But if you had put it in a way that you can get a better answer for it rather than the yes or no. And then you also need to avoid leading questions. Leading questions. An example is when you ask, do you think that Caesar intended to establish a dictatorship? That one is a leading question because you have made us know that, oh, Caesar was a leader. So was he bringing, or in his rule, was it a dictatorship rule or something? It's a leading question. And then the next one is, can you tell me, as I said, following by the real questions. This speech mannerism focuses on necessary attention of the teacher and creates the sense that the students are performing for the teacher. And then would you like to type questions, invite the student to second guess the teacher's preferences? They are often commands in disguise. Then again, we have questions that go on and on with lots of dependent clauses and hidden lecture information. Learn to listen to your own syntax. Be willing to stop every phrase and lengthy or awkwardly phrase questions. And make question or contribution up to this point. Any question or contribution? Then we have responding. Now we have questioned. We are now going to hear the response, or we are now going to respond. So you have asked the question and the student has made a reply. What you do next depends on one, the adequacy of the student's response. Two, whether you want to work with the same student or shift to a new student. So you have asked the question, the learner is going to respond. The learner has responded. Is the response okay? Was it adequate? Is that what I want to hear? If that is not what you want to hear, and you want to work with the same student, you don't want to change the student. Okay, so try, come again. You are close. It means you are working with the student. But the person gives you wrong answer. And you don't want to work with the student. It means you need to change the student. Okay. So let's look at if you want to work with the same student, the person has given you an answer, but is adequate. That is what you want. So what you decide to work with the same student, so you acknowledge the response. The person has gotten the answer. So you acknowledge the response. Have some response and thinking about it. Remember the times in school when you said something, got no acknowledgement, felt humiliated or annoyed. So you see, it is part of all of us. When you answer a question in class and then the teacher does not acknowledge your response, you feel bad. You feel like, what I said was something wrong, or what is it? And the next one is you can praise after you have acknowledged the response. You can praise. If the student's thinking or work has been praiseworthy, tell him or her. Give a positive reinforcement. Some teachers say good most of the time in response to student contribution. Students soon learn that this is not praised by simply the teacher's acknowledgement. And then the next one is raise a follow-up question. So the teacher has, the learner has acknowledged the teacher will acknowledge the response, praise the learner, and then raise a follow-up question. So you see clarifying, extending, generalizing, summarizing, questions above, and so on. So once a student has responded, the teacher may sense the need to prove for more. So maybe now the student has responded, the teacher wants to know more. So you can debate the answer. You can debate the answers. You can debate the answer, and then you can also sometimes you tell. So, do you think Kojo has answered this one? Please excuse our comment. Okay, so as I said, so you can debate the answer. So, could you say this? So what do you think? Do you think it is right? And then intentionally, you want others to also come out with their ideas. Again, when the student has said that, you can also paraphrase what he or she said. So, could you say this? So you mean you wanted to say ABC? That is it. Then again, what if the others in the class haven't heard? What if the others in the class haven't heard the student response? Those at the back, let's say they did not hear. What are you supposed to do? So you can ask the student to bring out the answer again. He or she should repeat the response again. Or you can paraphrase it yourself. You can paraphrase it yourself. You can tell the learners, okay, so she said this. Or you can even ask another student to say what the student said, the response that the student gave to the whole class. Making a follow-up question out of the student's response and then directing it to another person. So that is it. That is it. So if you decide to work with the same student, that is what you're supposed to do. If the person answers and then the response is accurate, this is what you're supposed to do. You acknowledge the response, you praise the person, you can give a follow-up questions because you want to work with the same person. And the answer the person brings, you can even debate in class, or you can paraphrase in class. And when you find out that some also did not hear, you need to ask the same person to say it again, or you yourself, you can say it, or you can ask another student to do that for you. Again, when you ask a question in class and you feel that somebody answers, somebody gives a response, and you see that the response is good, you can proceed with the lesson. You will not talk about it again. But when the response is partially or wholly inadequate, if the person decides to give a response that is inadequate, then it means you need to shift to a different student. Or if you want to work with the same student, well, the person gives an answer, and the answer is not correct, partially, or the whole answer that the person has given is not correct. This is what you do. You acknowledge the response. Whatever your habit is for letting a student know that you have heard and are thinking, use it. So you accept or correct the response. So the first one is you acknowledge the response. So you let the person know that you have heard what he or she has said.
Then we have to
Sorry. So if the person gives you an answer and it is not adequate, it is not correct, you want to work with the same student, you acknowledge the response. You let the person know that the answer that the person has given is not correct. So you accept or you correct the response. So, and we are saying that research shows that teachers tend to provide positive as well as corrective feedback to students they perceive as their high achievers more than to students they perceive as low achievers. And it is true. When a student with this type, a student answers and it is wrong, if let's say that person is somebody who normally, or let's say a bright student in class and has been answering questions, the person gets it wrong, the way you approach it will be different from the way somebody who is low, you approach how that person's own. So we see that sometimes you try to encourage, so you are close, come again. But when the persons normally they misbehave and they are low, you don't sometimes take you don't work with them well. But we are saying that just make the effort to let the student know if the response was adequate or inadequate and why. And you also do this without being harsh on them. Okay. You try and then minimize it. Otherwise, if it comes out harshly, the learners would not even raise their hand and then answer any question again. So that is what we are trying to say. And then if you see that the answer that the learner is not right, you can tell the person to come again. You can say, oh, nope, think about it. Try again. Or you can sometimes try to give cues or hints. You give the person clue. And then you ask the student to explain how he or she got the answer. If still the person is not getting it and you don't want to move to another person, you want to work with the same person, you can ask why he or she think that answer is correct. Probably you see that after doing that, the learner can even correct himself or herself. And then also do a perception check. Find out whether the student actually heard the question that you asked. Sometimes he or she did not hear by saying something overboard. Again, if you think that you want to also shift to the next person, the answer that person gave is still not correct, and then you want to work with a new person, that one too, you acknowledge the response. So you use your usual phrase for letting the student know that you have heard. And then you also provide a feedback. Let the student know that the answer was inadequate without, as I said, belittling the student. And then direct the same question to a different student. And then some teachers will invite the class at large or a specific student to correct the response. So this is it. This one, you ask the question, a student tried to answer. The first one was correct, so you decided to work with the same student. The second one, his answer was not correct, but you also decided to work with the same student. The next one that we are going to look at is when the student fails to respond. When the student fails to respond, you have asked the question, but the student is not minding you. The student is not responding. What do you do? So what if you get no response at all from the students? One, what you are supposed to do is you give the learner plenty time. So plenty of wait time. You wait for the learner to gather himself or herself. So research shows that teachers usually don't provide enough thinking time for the students. 2.6 seconds on the average for their brighter students and half that time for the slower students. That is what research is saying. So after asking a question, wait at least 5 to 10 seconds before rephrasing the question or worse, answering it yourself. Again, you need to provide cues. You provide cues. And then you also ask a clarifying question. You make clear the direction of thinking required by the question. And then, example, you said that Congress should not interfere with the president's foreign policy. So according to the Constitution, what can Congress do if they don't approve of the president's policies? So you need to clarify the question for the learner. And then if the student provides a destructive response, what if the response is a destructive one? or a question to which you don't have the answer, what you do is you refocus the student thinking on the task at hand. That is, gently bring the students back on track if your discussion has gotten too far afield. Better yet, link the side track the class has taken to the main thrust of your questioning, and then defer the question to a later date. So if a student has asked a question that is distracting, maybe you don't even have an answer to it, you can refocus the student thinking on the task, or the class can look at it. If there is no answer coming, you can defer the question to a later date. Key point, avoid ignoring the contribution, letting it go plump. Avoid criticizing the student or his or her thinking. And the ripple effect will adversely impact other students who may decide that it really isn't safe to speak in your class. So that question is, or that response was distracting, but you should know how to manage it in your class. Otherwise, other students might think that in your class they can't talk. So whenever they come to your class, they need to keep quiet. So we are saying that extend and then clarify students' thinking. Extend and clarify students' thinking. So responses to extend and clarify student thinking by questioning. Is this something you prize? So sometimes students are in a class and then you want to extend what they think. So there are some questions that you can ask them. I've come to mention a few of them. It says, is this something you prize? Are you glad about that? Do you have to choose that? Was it a free choice? Do you do anything with that idea? Can you give some examples of that idea? So all these are to extend and clarify students' thinking. Now, using questions to guide students' learning. Using questions to guide students' learning. Okay, so any question or contribution up to this point? Any question or contribution? Do we have questions or contribution?
Not for me, madam.
Okay. All right, so let's continue. So using questions to guide student learning. How do we use questions to guide student learning? Is that the qualified teacher and a competent one uses a variety of questions to achieve goals and objectives in teaching. And then he or she uses a variety of questions to stimulate children's thinking, and is also skillful in framing, sequencing, and then pacing questions. And we have performance criteria. So as a result of serious study of this, the teacher will be able to write a sample questions for a grade of his or her choice for each of the type of questions discussed. Okay. And so that is the performance criteria. I will not look at that one. Let's quickly look at developing skills in using questions. Developing skills in using questions. Now there are three sub-skills, or three sub-skills are a part of skillful questioning. Three sub-skills are a part of skillful questioning. One is framing and stating the questions. How do we frame and state the questions? And then sequencing questions. Sequencing questions. And then pacing questions. So one, framing and stating the questions, sequencing the questions, and then pacing the questions. So we'll be looking at them one after the other. So framing and stating questions. In framing and stating classroom questions, the first requirement is that they be appropriate for the subject matter and the purpose of which they are being asked. But even if they are satisfactory on those counts, questions may be faulty for technical reasons. Now, the following guidelines will help in preventing such problems. The first one is the question should be well stated. So how do we write, frame, or state questions? It says the question should be well stated. How? The grammar should be correct. The syntax easy to follow. And then keep the questions short and the vocabulary simple. Avoid bookish terms and then expressions. Again, express the questions clearly enough so that the learner will know what is wanted in the way of response. And do not include giveaway clues in the questions when you are stating your questions or when you are framing your questions for the learners. You state questions in a tone of voice that encourages learners to respond. Then the question should be stated in a way that stimulates children's thinking rather than leading them to unexpected answers. So to avoid the difficulties suggested by these guidelines, it is recommended that during the development of a lesson, beginning teachers write out questions they plan to ask. And when the beginner counts on improvising questions while teaching a room full of children, the questions are likely to come out badly. So it is often helpful to make and listen to a tape recordings of one's teaching in order to evaluate one's question skills. So this one is saying that sometimes we have not even listened to how we question or how we teach before. So as a beginner, a teacher who is a beginner, you can try this. You can record maybe one of your sessions teaching, and then how you ask questions, and then see if it is actually good. If you want, then you improve on it. So that is it, framing and stating questions. The questions that you are framing should be such that you take into consideration the syntax should be easy to follow, and then you have correct grammar and vocabulary. You keep it simple. You don't go and pick any bookish expression. Then we have sequencing questions. Sequencing. So if the ideas are to be developed in the course of a lesson, questions must be properly sequenced. Idea development means that the lesson has direction, the questions lead somewhere. One cannot ask a series of questions randomly and expect that ideas will build cumulatively. So in the sequence of the following questions, notice how each question builds on the one that precedes it. The questions are based on a story of a young man who visited an abandoned house. So I'm coming to give you a story of a young man who visited an abandoned house. So you see, it says, the question is, can you give an overall description of the house Charlie went to visit? So this is an abandoned house that a young man went to visit. And let's look at the questions here. You see, it is a sequencing question because if you had not been to that house, you cannot answer the question because based on what happened in there, then you can answer. So another one is, what was there about it that made him uneasy? When did he first discover that something was out of the ordinary? So this is how sequencing questions are. They are being built on what we have already or what is existing. So even if the reader is not familiar with the story, as I am telling you, essential elements of the storyline can be inferred from this sequence of questions, as in a random order. The questions would not produce this effect. Perhaps the easiest way to learn how to ask questions sequentially is to teach a process that has fixed sequence, such as following a product through or in the process of manufacturing. Then we have pacing question. Pacing question. So you see that in your off-campus teaching practice, there will be a pace and audibility of voice. Are you running with the lesson? Or are you too slow with the lesson? So pacing has to do with the rapidity with which questions are asked. Two problems are commonly associated with pacing. One is the questions that are asked too quickly, little or no time allowed for the development of ideas associated with a question before another one is asked. So short answers are expected and encouraged rather than elaborate responses. The second problem has to do with small amount of time given to respond. And the teachers seem to feel that unless children respond immediately, the question needs to be restated or re-clarified, or the learner must be provided with a cue. So that is it. If you are asking questions too hurriedly or slowly, it doesn't help. If you are asking questions and then it is too slow, it means you want the learners to get some cues out of it. The way Madam has taken her time to ask this question, it means it is coming in the exam. The way she's brushing, it means we don't need it. Let's forget about it. Then we have handling students' responses to questions. Handling students' responses to questions. How a teacher handles the response of a child may be as important as the question itself. In terms of productive learning, as a general guideline, the teacher's comments following a response should be such that it leaves the child feeling that he or she would like to respond again to another question. So you ask the question in such a way that the learner will not feel bad, but rather he or she would feel that, oh, the next time a question is being asked, I will still answer because they welcome my answers in a class. Again, we are saying that acknowledging a response, there are half a dozen or so common expressions that teachers use to acknowledge a response. All right. Yes, okay. These are all non-committal, non-evaluative utterances that simply recognize that the child has responded. Of course, these might be accompanied by nonverbal cues that carry powerful evaluative messages such as approving or disproving facial expression or tone. Responses of this are often effective if the teacher is encouraging a discussion of questions. So when response is recognized in a non-committal way, the class knows that the matter is still open and others may contribute their ideas to the discussion. So if the teacher, the learner responds and then the teacher says, okay, good. It means that there is more room for other students to also answer in the class when such answers are being given or such responses are being given by the teacher. And we have evaluative statements. So some teachers seem to think that they must evaluate every response with yes. That's right. No, that's not right. Of course, teachers need to evaluate the work of children. And incorrect responses should not be ignored. Yes. But there is such that is wrong with procedure that necessitates an evaluative comment from the teacher each time a child answers a question or make a comment in class. So first, the teacher does not always know whether a response is right or wrong. Moreover, many responses cannot be categorized as being totally wrong or right. Also, this procedure tends to encourage the kind of question for which students can be evaluated only in this way. Finally, some children will not participate in questioning of this type because they don't want their responses evaluated negatively in front of the whole class. So you see, when we want to evaluate to the child answers in the class and the teacher evaluates the question, oh, this is right. Some students also do not want to participate in such an exercise because they feel they will feel very bad in front of the other colleagues, and you see, no matter what they do, they will not raise their hand. And then restating and clarifying. So as a teacher, a student respond and then you can restate and clarify. Sometimes they don't get it. So that is why sometimes they give wrong answers. So you can clarify it. So not every response to a question needs to be restated or clarified, but this is the good practice from time to time. So, and whenever the questions or the answers that they give is right, you can restate it or clarify it. It is not always the point that you have to do that, but most of the time, if you do, it is fine. And then we have proving. This is one to, it often happens that a child's response is only a partial answer to the question. The teacher wants to encourage a more complete answer. And this can be done by probing for additional information. Such statements as these can be used for that purpose. Can you say a little more about that? So we are probing, trying to bring out the things in them. Probably it was partially answered, so you want more answers. And then cueing or clues. Their answers are not coming. It is partial or they are not giving you the right answer. So you try to provide clue for them to actually give you the right answers. Any question or contribution up to this point? Again, we can have room for any questions so far. Any question or contribution on what we have done today? Do we have any question? It looks like today we are quiet too.
Madam, we are listening. Yeah, with you.
Yeah, so we are done with the questioning and then responding. If we have any question, as I told you, if you want us to complete all the 10 units, we can go ahead. Or if you want us, because of the time, if you want us to also, because the 10, 9 and 10, we are skipping because it is something that we do in class. It is a classroom assessment, the CATs, classroom assessment techniques that we normally do in school. And then the benefits, how it is going to benefit us. And then the last one is the rubrics, how we score in class, the marks that we apportion to each question and the rest. So if you don't have any question and you want us to go into it, or you want us to also go back and then refresh our minds on, since today is our last meeting, if you want us to go back and refresh our minds on what
Madam.
we, yes.
I think for me, I don't know the rest of the class, but for me, I'm okay. If you can give us how the exams is going to be, so that we will discuss about that.
Okay, all right. Do you agree, or the rest of the class, do you agree?
Yes, madam. We are okay. Well, just as my colleague said to me, I'm okay. Maybe
All right,
you can give us how the exams will be. We'll be glad. Thank you.
all right. So I hope you'll be writing quiz, right? You'll be writing quiz.
Yes, madam.
One or
Yes.
two. Is it one or two?
It's two, but the other one is home based.
The other one is what?
They'll
Hey,
give
my
us the
assignment, my assignment, you have not sent it to me.
okay.
Have you sent it to the course rep? I've not gotten them. I want to check.
Okay.
So maybe after the class, you can send to him so that I will check. So
Yes, madam.
the first one is you write a quiz, and then the second one is what?
It's also
You
a
write the
quiz.
second one.
But that one you will be where? So is it online?
Yes, it's online. We'll be in our house, then we'll be doing it, then we'll send it.
Oh, okay. But the other one you come
We'll
to
be at the
campus
center. Yes.
center. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. So so what's the quiz? As for the quiz, it will be objectives. Multiple choice. The quiz will be multiple choice. I think 20 in all.
Yes, it's 20.
Yes, 20. It's 20. And then the exams. The exams will be essay. The exams will be essay. And I think one case study. One case study. And then I think 3, it will be I think 5 questions. Answer 3. 5 questions, answer 3. But it will be essay. So this one you write and then you give examples. If there is a need to give examples, you give examples. And as I said, in answering questions, you look at the marks that they have given. So let's say if an example is, let's say, what is accounting? And they have given 2 marks. You don't write a page for just 2 marks. So you look at the marks that they have allocated to each question, and then you answer as well. There are some you see some questions they will write about 8 marks. So for 8 marks, then it means you need to write well and then give examples where necessary. So I think case study, and then so the case study will be compulsory, and then you answer 2 other questions to in addition. You know, it will be 60 for the exam, but the quiz it will be 2020. So 20 objectives, 2020. It will not go. It is not going to be difficult.
Okay, Madam, please, are you going to give us areas for the essay areas? Maybe
No, so we have not even done much. So from
I know you have done a lot. It's in detail.
so, it is not much. So we have looked at the nature of teaching, and we have looked at what teaching is, science and as an art, the teaching learning processes, and then the knowledge base for teaching. Yes. This one we don't need to forget. And then the quality teaching model too, we don't need to forget the general teaching model. What an effective teaching is. So the only thing that I think we are not going to bother you much is the lesson, but you need to read so that questions, we are not going to prepare a lesson plan. We will not prepare a lesson plan, but questions around it may come, or because you have objectives, questions like that can happen, come in the objective, because you are going to do both objectives and then the written. You need to read well. You need to read well, but you are not going to do lesson plan, so that one there, be rest assured. But for the rest, I don't think this one is a whole lot. This is something that we have been doing, so it is not going to be difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam.
Yeah, welcome. So the only thing that you fear was the lesson plan, but that one too is not coming. But just that questions around it, you
Okay.
can't escape.
Thank you, Madam.
Any other questions so far from all the things that we have done? Do we have any question since we started? Do we have any question? So we are okay. Are we good? Are we good? Or I should be asking you some. The way we are quiet, I should be asking you some of the questions.
Madam, we are okay. No bother yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yes, Madam.
Okay. So if we don't have questions or contribution, do we have any contribution, anything that you want us to discuss? Contribution, anything that is peculiar at your place that you want us to discuss, anything so far. Nelson, are you okay?
Yes, please.
From the beginning up to this place, no question, nothing.
Please, madam.
Madam,
Yes,
hello.
yes, gifting.
Please, for me,
Yes,
the lesson notes, if you can give us a summary once again about the lesson, the lesson.
the lesson plan. Okay. So I think I shared the
The slides.
we are not, yes, I think I shared with you. So as I said, we have not we are not going to use the old one. We are going to use the new lesson plan. So with the
Madam,
new
one
one,
question. Then you
okay,
the
okay.
lesson, the syllabus is 2010. Is it the one they are using now? Because I left
Yes, so
the SHS1
did you get
curriculum
a
has
new one?
been changed.
Did you get a new one? Yeah, did you get a new one? Now they keep changing the syllabus also. Is there a new one that they have got? I think this is what they are still using. No?
Okay, I thought maybe they have brought a new one
They
since
have a
they
new one.
changed the curriculum.
Have they released the new one?
No, I'm asking, I'm saying that I
No,
heard
so I think they are
the
now,
the
yes,
SHS one. Okay,
yes,
so they are still using the
this one.
2010
The
syllabus.
new, yes, yes. So they have not released the new one. They are still working on it. And you see, when they they want to do a reform, and they want to change the syllabus, it is not easy. They need to change so many things. Ah, so if it is still there, it means they are working on it. Even the primary school one, this is not the whole thing that they have given us. It is coming in pieces, bits. Okay, so with the lesson plan, the new one, as I said, it has changed a little. You see, normally we used to have the rubrics up there, the class form. It has not changed or do. So with the new ones, we have the subject where you can write the subject there. So in our case, let's say financial accounting, and then the week that you are teaching, let's say week 1 or week 2. Then how many minutes are you going to use? 2 hours. So 2 hours will be 120 minutes, right? And then we have the which class or which form. In this case, it is going to be form because the accounting is for SHS. So let's say form 1. And then the strand, what are they going to learn? What are they going to learn? That will be the strand. And then the sub-strand will be the actual topic that we are going to treat that day. Then the content standard, you bring in the content standard as well. The content standard will come, and then you come. I want to check the one that I shared with you. Okay, I have one here. The BRS is here. Okay. Okay, so that at least we can look at it. So the sub-strand is this one. We are looking at the bank reconciliation statement. And then the content standard, what do you want? So the learner will demonstrate understanding of the need for reconciling bank records with cash book balances. Okay, so the learning outcomes, what do we expect? So as we are finishing, what do we expect? So by the end of the lesson, the learner will be able to identify and correct discrepancies between the bank statements and the cash book. And then also the learner will be preparing a simple bank reconciliation statement. So that is what the outcome, what we want the learner to be doing after everything, after we have taught them, that is the outcome. You should be able to prepare bank reconciliation statements. So the indicators is what? Now we want the learner to prepare bank reconciliation statement for a given data. We'll give the person a data, and then you should be able to prepare it for it. Then essential questions. What questions are you going to ask? Why do differences arise between the cash book and then the bank statement? Those questions are the questions that may come out for learners. And then how do we reconcile these differences practically? Again, pedagogical strategies, the 21st century skills. Now, that is what they are saying. We are no more using our old strategies. We are using the 21st one. And this one is going to be a guided practice. Why? Because the learners are going to do most of the things themselves, and the teacher is only going to guide the learners. There will be a collaborative learning, and then direct instruction will also take place. And then under the teaching and learning resources, what are they bringing? So the normal teaching and learning resources that we take, we can't teach in the classroom. We can't have a lesson without TLNs. So we'll bring, in our case, we'll bring sample questions, and then bank statement will also be brought. But we need to consider in the new curriculum, we need to consider individual differences. So keynote on differentiation. So we are going to support slower learners with step-by-step guidance. Encourage advanced learners to create sample questions or help peers. So those who are advanced, they need to support their peers, and those who are also slower, we are going to guide them to catch up. Again, there are some keywords in here. We have the cash book is a keyword, the bank statements, unpresented checks, uncredited checks, and then bank reconciliation or reconciliation is also there. And then when you come to the main lesson, so it says drawing on concepts, skills, and then competencies to reinforce as in the subjects teacher manual. There is a teacher manual that we have. So drawing from them, we are going to group them, the teacher activity and then the learner activity. The teacher activity will be what the teacher is going to do and what the learner is also going to do in response. So the starter what the teacher is going to do beginning of the class. So for about 30 minutes, the teacher greets the learners, and then the teacher recap reasons for discrepancies that they have already learned some days ago, and then ask learners to mention few items that causes bank and cash book differences. That is a recap of what they have already done. They now know that there are some differences in the bank and the cash book, and they know the causes why those things happen. So the recap will bring their minds back to that again. Then from there, the teacher is going to use about 5 minutes to do an introduction. Okay. And the introduction, the teacher is going to let us know what the general rule is and so on and so forth. So as a general rule, banks send their customers to be its individual or firm, a statement which represents a copy of the customer's account in the bank. The statement gives particulars of all transactions affecting the customer's account and the rest. So from there, the activities keeps coming. So activity one starts. The teacher will share printed questions. So it depends on you what you are going to do. So with this teacher, the teachers will share printed questions, and then we let the learners try and then identify where they think they have seen errors in that statement that he has printed. So from there, it starts, the lesson starts. And you see, it is more learner centered because the teacher gives the question to them, and they are going to look for it. You see, before then, those times, the teacher will stand in front of the class and then will be asking them, let's do it, show me where is it. But this time, he gives to them, and then they will be looking at it. So the only difference that comes in is we giving the student the opportunity to do it themselves, and if they are not getting it, the teacher comes in. So it goes on and on and on. Then after everything that when they have been able to identify the errors, the teacher then comes in and then guides them how to actually work it out. And then when they are done, the teacher will either call somebody to summarize the lesson, or he himself will summarize the lesson, or he can even use question and answer to end the class. After everything, assessment is being done, evaluation is being done, the teacher either gives you class exercise, class test, or even an assignment, so that you know what each person or individual has gotten or is taking home. So this is it. And then the teacher reflection. So the teacher can, from here, the teacher would let the learners know what the next period they are going to do. Then he ends the class, rub the board, and then exits the class. Yes, so any question or contribution on the recap of what we just did? Do you have any
Madam,
question?
please,
Yes.
with regards to the assignment, how many minutes are you using, please?
Which one?
The assignment, the lesson plan.
The one I gave you.
Yes,
Oh, I
please.
said 25 or
Hey, so
okay,
I thought 35.
okay, we can make it 35. 35 is fine. So that at least
Oh,
you
okay.
can do the explanation, and 35 is okay.
No, okay.
But you need to send to me so that I can see whether you are good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Is any question? Yeah. Do we have any question?
Since I have no question, I'm okay with the explanation you gave me.
Okay,
Thank
that
you
is
very much.
fine. Yeah, welcome. Any other question? So in the course of the week too, or as we are there, if you have any question, you can, the page is there, I'm there, or you can through the course rep ask any questions that you want. If you feel you need an explanation, I can even do an audio and send to you.
Okay, madam. We are grateful.
Okay, so madam, please, um, with regards to the quiz and examination, how is it going to be done?
The what?
The quiz and the examination.
Yes, so I think I asked a few minutes ago, and then some of your mates said you'll be writing one on campus, and then I think the
On
other
online.
online. Then I think the exams too, you might come to campus.
Yes, please. You go to the centers.
But the format is that the quiz will be objectives, multiple choice, and the exams will be essay, and as I said, there will be one case study. So the case study, in the sense that let's say all the things that let's say we have all the things that we have learned. We are not going to give you a direct question like, what is this? So it will be a case. It will be a case, and then from out of the case, you are going to deduce. For instance, let me give you an example. Let's say in the case, there is it mentions that a teacher in the class comes, and then as he's going, the teacher did not rub the board and then went outside of the class because there was another teacher. So with this one, it is a case. So you've seen that it is part of the exiting class. So in the case, you quickly identify it. So we can ask you, so identify exiting the class, in this case, what the teacher did. Then quickly you go and identify it, and then you talk about it. Was it good? Or if it is not good, then what was the teacher supposed to do? Please, you get it. So that is how the case is going to be. We are going to give you a scenario. Let me say it like that, a scenario, and then we have some of these things inbuilt there. Then you are going to identify them and then write it as you have learned in class. So you identify what is wrong in the thing that also, in this case, the teacher left the class without rubbing the board. So what did you also learn in class? We learned that if a teacher is exiting the class, the teacher has to clean the board himself. Then you bring the reasons why the teacher has to clean the board. You get it?
Yes, madam.
So that is how the case is going to be like. So when we say case study, the questions are not going to be straightforward. The things that we have learned are inbuilt there, so you can easily identify them and then talk about them. That's all. Are we good?
So that will be for the essay. It will be only case study, or there will be what is
No, so
explaining like that.
one case study question, which is going to be compulsory, and then you answer two others in addition. So in all, there are going to be 5 questions, and then you answer 3. Do you get it?
I think it's network.
Okay, but the rest
Yes,
of you have
please.
gotten it, guys. So Maybe if he asks again, you
So my
can
next
tell
one.
him that 5 questions you are going to answer. 5 questions, you answer 3, and that is all for the exam. If there is any additional change or anything that happens, once we have the platform, we will communicate over there. Okay. For now, tentatively, this is how it is going to be. Yeah.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
All right. You are welcome. So if we don't have any further questions, maybe we are going to end it here and then continue on our page.
Okay.
All
We
right.
really appreciate your time and
All
your
right.
patience towards us.
All right.
Really appreciate. You have taught us very well. We really appreciate it, and we hope to, as we continue our journey in education, we'll see you one day. Then,
Sure.
we are very grateful.
All right.
Thank you
I
very
also enjoyed your class, your contributions, and the rest, examples,
much.
and others.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
thank you,
appreciate.
Madam too.
All right.
Thank you so much, Madam Epia.
Right. Yes.
We really enjoyed your class, and as my colleague said, we've revised ourselves. Some things that probably in our practical field that we are doing, we overlook sometimes.
Mm.
Not that we don't have, sometimes we've forgotten.
Yeah.
Personally, as you go on, I say, hey, Charlie, this I was doing, I forgot to do it, hey, then I have to. So I think as we go back to our various school classrooms to teach, we try to put them into practice again. So you've actually revived us and
Yeah.
reshaped us again. So we are
Yeah.
grateful.
No, I've
Having a
also
great
learned a
time
lot
with
from
you.
you. Sure.
Okay, thank
Right.
you.
Okay. All right. You bye.
Bye.
Mhm.